Hey, it's Tyler from Rehab to Fab Designs, and today we're going to make a Christmas sled. So we had this old chair sitting around in our shop that somebody had donated to us where the seat was busted, and we really didn't have any other use for it. So my husband decided to remove two of the back legs on it and use it to upcycle to make a sled, because the curved portion of it is perfect for sled shapes. Once he cut the boards to length, he used an old ice cream bucket to trace the curvature shape so that he could get a nice curve on the board so it looked even more authentic. Then he used a jigsaw to cut the curve out, and then we were ready to get started with finishing it. Next, he used 2 pieces of scrap wood to place on each leg of the sled so that he could put the 1x4s down on top to create the sled. Here it is. They were attached using wood glue from Gorilla Glue and our Ryobi Airstrike. He also used another piece of wood to cut this piece that you see here for the top portion of the sled. Once this was in place, it was time to decide how we wanted to finish this thing. In comes Dixie Belle Paint Company paint products. We're going to be using chalk mineral paint from their line, as well as voodoo gel stain to restain those legs. But first, we got to sand them down and get the old yucky finish off so we have a nice clean surface to put our new stain on. We're using 150 grit sandpaper and a sanding block here to scuff sand. I almost got carried away here because once I started sanding it down, I was like, ooh, this wood might be a little pretty under here. And I thought about sanding it completely down, but then I changed my mind because I didn't want to stain the top of this. I knew I wanted to paint it, so I decided I would just go ahead and stick with my original plan to restain them. But before we do that, we're going to paint the top. For this, I'm using Dixie Belle's chalk mineral paint in a color called Savannah Mist. It's a really pretty kind of blue-gray color that is light and neutral enough to go with most decor, but also has a little bit of color to it. So I started by putting a coat on it. It really has great coverage if you've never used Dixie Belle before. So really one coat is all you need to cover this raw wood. I'm applying it using one of my favorite brushes, also from Dixie Belle. It's a synthetic brush, and it's known as the Mini Angle. While my chalk paint was drying, I came in with a sponge and that voodoo gel stain that I mentioned to you. We're going to be using a color called Tobacco Road. It's a nice warm walnut color. It is a water-based product, so it, along with my chalk mineral paint, dries super fast. So you can just do these steps on this project back to back to back. Apply your paint while it's drying, apply your stain. By the time you're done with that, you can come back on and start decorating the sled top. I did for a brief moment think about leaving this as is, maybe distressing it along the edges and then putting like a wood stain over that to kind of antique it. However, I decided I'd be a little more artsy and try my hand at drawing a gnome on here so I can paint that. I used a pencil to outline the shape of it, and then I'm going to come back in with smaller brushes using my Dixie Belle paint to paint them. As you can see here, I'm using the color Cotton from Dixie Belle. It's a bright white, and I'm going to add a little bit of a hurricane gray to get kind of a nice gray and white beard going. I'm applying it using the French tip brush from Dixie Belle because it's giving me these beautiful brush strokes to indicate a beard. No need to try for perfection here. These colors are going to blend together and give you different variations in color. So you're going to have some darker areas of gray, and then you're going to have areas that are lighter because it blends with white, and then you'll also have white. Just keep applying it until you're happy with the look. Don't be scared to do this because it's just paint, and if you don't like it, you can just pick it back up and paint right over it, solid white again. For my big old gnome nose, I am using Tea Rose from Dixie Belle, which is a light pink color. I'm using a smaller artist brush to do this just so I have a little bit better control, because if you know me well, you know I am very messy. There is also a little bit of cotton still on this brush where I used it for my beard, so it's blending to give me a little variation in color, so it's not just one solid color, it's got a little dimension. The next colors I decided to use for my project were Stormy Seas, and then again I'm using cotton, and this is going to be for my hat. As you could see, I drew the hat out with the pencil first, well the whole project actually, but I did decide to add a little bit of more fluff to his hat. I had originally drawn it kind of more narrow and skinny, but I did make it a little bit wider, and I'm going to be using these two colors to create stripes on the hat. So let's get started with that. I'm going to be using smaller artist brush again for this portion of the project too, just because it gives me a little bit better control and I'm having to do some outline work. But I'm simply using a small brush. I'm going to outline my shape that I had previously drawn with pencil using Stormy Seas, and then we'll fill it in. I did add a little bit of a curve to my line for my stripes, so it would give it a little bit of movement and not be so flat. The only thing I had left to do was paint the alternating color of stripes, and again I'm using cotton for that, and that's it guys. This was a super fun and easy project for us. Build a simple sled, paint it using all our Dixie Belle chalk mineral paints, and we're done. If you're here and still watching, please know that I appreciate you. Please be sure and follow YouTube channels for Rehab to Fab Designs and Dixie Belle Paint Company. Be sure and drop any comments you have down below, and turn on the bell for notifications.